What happens when a battle-hardened Navy SEAL opens up about his deepest spiritual beliefs? What if the most shocking thing he shares has nothing to do with war or weapons, but with God, death, and forgiveness? On this powerful episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, featuring retired SEAL and endurance athlete Chadd Wright, we explore how toughness is more than muscle and grit. It is about facing your demons, caring for the dying, rejecting modern lies, and becoming truly self-sufficient. Here are 10 bold takeaways you do not want to miss. Takeaway 1. The spiritual truth behind the SEAL. Chadd Wright was once just a small-town guy with a big dream. Not only did he become a Navy SEAL, he went on to embrace a life that few would expect. He believes that the most powerful force in his life is not military training or physical endurance, but faith. In this episode, Chadd opens up about what he calls a spiritual awakening. He explains that true belief is not something you choose on your own. He believes it is something that God gives you. Chadd says the story of Jesus dying on a cross and rising again sounds foolish to most people, unless something inside them changes first. That change, according to him, is when God makes you spiritually alive. He even tells Joe Rogan that he has prayed for him. He hopes that Joe will experience the same awakening. This moment in the conversation is raw and deeply personal. It is not about preaching. It is about witnessing a man who has been through pain, danger, and battle, now sharing a softer but no less powerful side. For Chadd, his identity as a SEAL is real. But his identity as a man of faith is even more important. Now that we have seen what powers Chadd's inner world, let's move into what happens when death comes knocking. Takeaway 2. Sitting with death. Chadd shares the heartbreaking story of a mentor who helped raise him and was now dying from pancreatic cancer. Most people avoid situations like that because they are too painful. But Chadd did something different. He chose to sit by his mentor's side for hours and days, reading scripture aloud and helping him find peace. His mentor could not read, so Chadd's words were his only window into that world. He would often ask for more, hungry for meaning, even as his body gave out. Chadd saw things he could not explain. When he read scripture, the man would gain energy. Sometimes, after days in bed, he would walk out onto the porch. And in his final moments, despite being paralyzed from a stroke, he sat up straight, lifted both hands into the air, then lay back down and died. Chadd later learned this was called the death reach. Many hospice nurses say they have seen the same thing, people reaching toward something invisible just before death. It changed how Chadd viewed life and dying. Death, he says, is not just an end. It is a powerful transition, one that deserves respect, attention, and presence. When a man sees death so closely, it affects how he views life, especially the kind of life worth building. That brings us to the art of the hunt. Takeaway 3. Mastering the bow and the hunt. Chadd is preparing for his first elk hunt in New Mexico. Elk hunting is not easy. It takes skill, patience, and deep respect for the animal. Though he will use a rifle this time, Chadd is a passionate bow hunter. He owns a Hoyt RX-7 with a carbon riser and has spent years practicing. Bow hunting is very different from rifle hunting. You have to get extremely close, sometimes within 10 yards, to get a clean shot. One time, Chadd got within 5 yards of a mule deer, but lost the shot because he moved too early. These close encounters demand calm and control. Joe Rogan also shares stories of axis deer in Hawaii that evolved with tigers. These animals are so fast they can dodge arrows even after they are fired. Bow hunting is more than just sport. It is about connecting to the wild, respecting the process, and honing the skill of patience. Like Chadd's spiritual beliefs, his hunting style is slow, deliberate, and rooted in discipline. Let's now rewind to the beginning of Chadd's journey, a path marked by failure, pain, and unlikely victory. We're about to dive into the most exciting part of this video. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up below and share this video in your WhatsApp groups. It really helps us keep making great content. Don't forget to leave a comment and hit subscribe for more. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 4. The SEAL secret that changed everything. Chadd Wright was told he would never become a Navy SEAL. The Navy found a 7-centimeter cyst on his heart and disqualified him. Most people would have given up, but not Chadd. He paid for his own heart surgery and returned to the Navy less than a year later. When he first joined, he did not even know how to swim. That is not an exaggeration. He truly had no idea how to swim. Despite that, he made it through SEAL training without injury. He was awarded the Hard Charger Award, a title given to the recruit most likely to succeed. And he did. Others before him had won that award and failed. Chadd was the first to actually finish. His story is not about talent. It is about willpower. He faced rejection and turned it into fuel. He broke every limit and carved his way into one of the hardest elite forces on Earth. After beating the odds and living the warrior's life, Chadd chose an unexpected next chapter, one that would push him in a whole new direction. Takeaway 5. From combat to calling. Chadd did not settle into an easy civilian life after leaving the military. Instead, he entered a new battlefield. A friend invited him to coach running and appear in interviews. The friend warned him that once he stepped into the spotlight, everything would change. And it did. Chadd co-founded the 3 of 7 Project, a program focused on building up the body, soul, and spirit. He started speaking publicly and hosting a podcast, which now has over 400 episodes. He talks about life after war, about faith, and about the things most people never say out loud. His transition was not about fame. It was about purpose. Chadd turned his pain and experience into a mission. He now reaches thousands of people who want to be stronger in every part of their lives. Mental toughness, spiritual grounding, and physical discipline. That is the real battlefield. But why walk away from the world most people live in? Why reject comfort and modern life? The answer starts with the cities. Takeaway 6. Cities are slowly killing us. When Chadd visits cities like Austin or Los Angeles, he feels sick. The air hurts his nose. The noise fills his head. He coughs, he tenses up, and he feels like something is very wrong. He sees people passed out in parks, smoking crack in broad daylight, and living in conditions he says are worse than animals. Joe agrees. Cities, they both say, are full of stress, pollution, and mental decay. People get used to it and do not even notice it anymore. But that does not make it normal. Chadd believes cities pull humans away from what is real, from nature, silence, clean air, and meaningful work. He says the farther you get from the dirt, the more you forget who you really are. That may sound harsh, but to Chadd, it is just the truth. And what keeps those cities alive? The food system, which leads us straight into the next big lie. Takeaway 7. The lies behind modern food. Chadd saw with his own eyes how industrial farming poisons the land. When he lived in Virginia, nearby farms sprayed so many chemicals that the soil turned pale and lifeless. The only things that grew were genetically modified crops. He met Will Harris, a farmer who spent 20 years turning his land from toxic to thriving. Will even gave Joe jars of soil to prove the difference. One was dark and alive. The other looked dead. Chadd also mentioned that all the California wines tested had glyphosate, a dangerous chemical. He believes we are being poisoned slowly by the very system we trust to feed us. That is why he refuses to rely on grocery stores. He grows, hunts, or trades for most of what he eats. If you want real food, he says, you need to reclaim it yourself. So how does he live without depending on the system? The answer lies in the mountains. Takeaway 8. Living off the grid. Chadd lives in the Appalachian Mountains on 700 acres of wild land. His family lives close to the earth. His cousin raises cows. His wife grows vegetables that change with the seasons. His mother bakes all their bread. And Chadd hunts daily for meat, especially squirrels. He gets his water from a spring tapped by a pipe. He does not go to town much. His trucks are old and built without electronics, so they will run even if everything shuts down. His mountain cur dog, Wendy, is his best friend and hunting partner. Together, they live in a rhythm that feels timeless. Chadd does not talk about off-grid life like it is a survival challenge. For him, it is the most natural and peaceful way to live. But off-grid life is not just about food and shelter. It is about knowing how to provide. Which brings us to one of his favorite daily rituals. We're about to hit the final takeaways from this video. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up below and share this video in your WhatsApp groups. It really helps us keep making great content. Don't forget to leave a comment and hit subscribe for more. Now, let's continue with the video. Takeaway 9. The Forgotten Art of Hunting. Every day when he is home, Chadd goes squirrel hunting. That may not sound impressive, but it is one of the most useful and underrated skills in survival. He uses tree dogs to track and corner the squirrels. He even breeds these dogs to pass on the best traits. He gives away much of the meat to friends and neighbors. He shares stories of bear hunts and raccoon encounters that are intense and dangerous. One time, a bear slid down a tree and landed right next to him. These are not fancy high-dollar hunts. They are dirty, risky, and real. Chadd says that if the world ever breaks down, people will not be surviving on elk steaks. They will be eating squirrels, birds, and possums. That is why hunting small game matters. It is real food, real skill, and real connection. And once you have caught your food, you need to know how to prepare it. Takeaway 10. Cooking the wild way. Chadd admits he is not the best cook. He often lets others handle the wild meat or gives it away. But he is learning. Joe teaches him about reverse searing a steak using a smoker and cast iron pan. This slow and hot method keeps the meat juicy and full of flavor. Wild game like bear or raccoon can be tough or greasy, but when cooked right, it is delicious. Joe shares that his friend Jesse runs a cooking school for wild game. They teach people how to hunt, butcher, and prepare food properly. Chadd is amazed that even old wild hogs can be made to taste great with the right skill. Cooking is the final piece of the puzzle. Hunting gives you food. Cooking turns it into something nourishing and powerful. Most people think toughness means being hard, but Chadd Wright shows us it means being deep, being present, being brave enough to face death, to believe in something greater, to live outside the system, and to provide for those you love. He is not just a SEAL. He is a guide to a different way of living, one where truth matters more than comfort, where silence is sacred, and where faith can be the strongest force of all. So, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to survive inside the system and started building something real from the ground up? Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, hit the thanks button below. It really helps us keep going. If you enjoyed this summary, please leave a like and share it in your WhatsApp groups. To join discussion about this video, drop a comment below. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below.